Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Lord of the People. I set off a frenzy of plant alienation. Chapter 31. 5 minutes later, the light dissipated. City wall. Susie let go of the little fairy's slender waist and looked out of the city. On tens of thousands of square meters of open space. Zerg corpses 5 to 6 meters long and 7 to 8 meters long piled up into mountains, covering the entire space. Ingeniously, all the Zerg corpses died peacefully without any damage on the surface. Master, how did these Zerg die? There doesn't seem to be any damage on their bodies. The little goblin also saw the pile of corpses, her beautiful eyes showed surprise. Those Zerg races seemed to have their souls wiped out in an instant. The body becomes an empty shell. This is a neutron bomb, which kills all life from the dimension of the soul, but does not damage the body and buildings. Susie said in a deep tone. He also didn't expect that the power of the neutron bomb was so terrifying. If it is not protected by the screen, even if they are separated by tens of thousands of meters, they will still be attacked by a powerful stream of particles. Unlike the neutron bombs on Earth in previous lives, the neutron bombs fired by his Unit P cannon are completely composed of energy. How many times stronger is the power than matter? This also caused that the power of an energy bomb weighing only 37 tons is not inferior to that of the previous 100-ton neutron bomb. However, Susie glanced around again. Something was wrong. Master, is there something wrong? Seeing Susie frown, the goblin couldn't help asking. I didn't see the body of the Zerg Queen. Susie explained softly. The goblin heard what Susie said and read it again. Indeed, then the Zerg Empress is still alive. Well, there is a high probability that I ran back. Susie smiled and said, not too concerned in his eyes. The trial time is limited by rules. After 1 day, it will be counted as a failure. He can afford to wait, but the other side may not necessarily be able to. In the nest, the Zerg Empress collapsed weakly on the throne, staring at a screen in front of her. It was Susie and the goblin on the screen, seeing the two talking and laughing. The eyes of the Zerg Empress were full of killing intent and hatred. But in the depths of the eyes, there is a deep fear. Think back to the scene where you almost died just now. The Zerg Queen still had some lingering fears. That horrible attack, just a second, broke through several of her defenses. If it didn't happen that among the defenses she sacrificed, there was one that protected the soul. I'm afraid she has died outside. What the hell is that? Plants. FK plants. Recalling the information about the Earth Shadow King worm, the Zerg Mother Queen wished she could swallow him alive. Recalling the things on the city wall that look like human machine system cannons. Could it be that? Is that the new mechanical type of the human race? Zerg Mother Queen suspects. Only the lord of the mechanical system of the human race can have such a large-scale, terrifying battlefield dominance. But, whether it is mechanical or not, the Mother Queen of the Zerg found that she seemed to be unable to defeat the lord. Forcibly rushing up, it is completely death. What to do? Empress Dowager's two antennae jumped up and down wildly, her brain, which was as big as a person's, turned rapidly. I want her to continue attacking the human territory. Of course she didn't want to. Looking at the soldiers and insects in his nest. Only a small number of 5th level and low-level soldiers and insects were able to escape when they were on the verge of explosion. The accumulation of hundreds of years is now destroyed. But given enough resources, she can recover quickly. But if he continues to be an enemy of that human lord, then she is almost certain to die. So, shaking people, I can't do it alone, so I'll call more sisters. Soon, the Zerg Mother Queen thought of a way. After all, worms are more powerful. Why is she the only one facing this terrifying human lord? Good sister, it's hard to carry it together. Thinking of this, the Zerg Empress became more and more convinced that it was feasible. So without hesitation, I sent a group chat video to a few sisters. Not only the human race has technology, in fact, all races also have their own technology tree. It's just that the level of development and the direction of development are different. Before the video is connected, the Mother Queen of the Zerg race covered up the injuries on her body, and restored the proud appearance of the Zerg race's pride. Alice, why are you sending the video now? On a battlefield where countless creatures were fighting, a beetle-type Zerg Empress connected to the video in doubt. Yeah, couldn't it be that he was disabled? Another video was connected, and a centipede-like Zerg mother said mockingly. Quickly tell me, I'm busy. There's a human lord of the elves here, and his strength is not bad. I have dispatched 1/3 of the troops, and I can still hold on. The third video was connected, and a Zerg empress who was similar to Alice said easily. Watching the video, the leisurely sisters one by one, think about yourself again. Alice was silent for a moment and said, Sisters, I found a treasure, do you want it? If so, I will let you develop it with me. Oh, Alice, when did you become so kind? The Zerg Queen, who resembled a centipede, sneered. Zerg are extremely selfish people, how could they give good things to others? The other two Zerg empresses didn't believe it either. I know you don't believe it, just look. With that said, Alice sent them the video about Susie's territory. FK, why is his territory so big? According to the human race, this is the 5th day of the trial. The area of the Lord on my side is not even 1/10, no, less than 1%. Another Zerg empress came in and exclaimed when she saw the video. Yes, his territory is too large. A Zerg empress trembled in her eyes. Obviously, this area was beyond the reach of ordinary territories. Didn't you find out that his unit is the plant department? Alice reminded. Only then did all the Zerg queens notice the looming big tree in the video. Although I can't see exactly what it is. But they clearly distinguish. This is a plant lord. Isn't a plant lord who doesn't attack a great treasure? If it wasn't for the human lord who owns a legendary defensive building, how could I ask you for help? Alice acted like I was being forced to do nothing, and you meant to make a lot of money. After hearing the words, many Zerg mother emperors showed a hint of greed in their eyes. They can't really believe Alice's words. But that is the lord of the plant department, and the territory of tens of thousands of square meters is a real benefit. If this lord is taken down, then the rewards they got are shocking enough. Compared to the territory that is currently conquered, it is no less than a feast. How? Do you want to come? If you don't come, I will find someone else. Alice said casually, giving them a sense of crisis. After hearing the words, many Zerg mother emperors were moved. Count me in. Count me in too. I'm coming too. Looking at the sisters who actively signed up, the Zerg empress smiled, showing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Then he looked at Susie on the city wall, the tentacles on his head beating wildly. As far as she knows, the attack of the mechanical lord also has a limit. Not endless. As long as it is continuously consumed, it is enough to consume him to death. But this process always requires some sacrifices. At this moment, suddenly a communication request was sent. After Alice saw the incoming call, she instantly regained her senses. Because the caller was one of the highest highnesses of the Zerg race, a top powerhouse whose strength had reached the peak of the 7th rank. Your Highness Emma, Alice respectfully said, in the Zerg race, there is an extremely strict concept of superiors and subordinates, and no overstepping is allowed. I heard that you are calling people to help you attack a plant lord. Empress Emma's voice came from the opposite side. Yes, Alice nodded, a little surprised that His Highness would suddenly be interested in this. How is his strength? Very strong. Hearing this, a trace of cold sweat appeared on Alice's head. Very, very strong. My 5th-tier units didn't even survive a round of attack. Alice answered truthfully. Her Highness who has a higher authority can know the information here. She has no need to lie. Oh, the combat power of the arms is very strong, maybe it really is. On the opposite side, Queen Emma said, with an inexplicable light in her eyes. Alice was clueless. Pull off the attack. Tomorrow, we just need to send some bug soldiers to harass and keep all the attacks on the 7th day. Emma gave the order directly. Although Alice was puzzled, she did not dare to disobey Emma's order, and immediately agreed. After hanging up the call, Emma sat in the empty insect nest with a hint of madness in her eyes. It's another lord of the plant department with combat power. I was the first to meet the once-in-a-million-year plant department. Emma was trembling with excitement, her 100-meter-long body trembled from time to time. Zerg has records. Every tens of millions of years, a top plant lord will appear in the human race. Not only is the territory dozens of times larger than other lords, but even the territory upgrades very quickly. And the reason for this? It is because the core of their territories are all the top spiritual creatures in the universe comparable to the tree of life of the elves. That's not the point. The key is, thousands of years ago, one of her ancestors devoured the Lord. Obtained the essence of the spiritual thing. At that time, she was at the 9th level, and she jumped into the realm of the gods. And at a speed never seen by the Zerg. Rush into the middle god, the upper god. The momentum is fierce, powerful and terrifying. For other races, the plant type with top combat power is like a great tonic. For becoming a god, for gaining endless potential, for her future. She must swallow him like that ancestor. Now, her strength is already at the peak of the 7th level, and she originally wanted to wait until the world melted before she could be promoted to the 8th level. But now that there is a plant lord, then there is no room for any mistakes. 8th order, enough to crush everything, the battle is over. Start settlement. Suddenly, Suzy, who was still waiting for the next wave of attack by the Zerg, suddenly heard a reminder next to his ear. Suzy, why did it end so suddenly? The Zerg Queen is not dead yet. The ending was caught off guard, beyond Suzy's expectation. If the other lords knew what Suzy said, they might cry to death. Only the 5th round of trials. Then they met the 6th order Zerg Empress, which was a height enough for them to look up to. But Suzy was a little dissatisfied. He was a little unwilling not to kill the big boss of the Zerg Mother Queen. The 5th round of invasion is over. Start settlement. Open black lens bracket war settlement close black lens bracket. Enemies, 1 million first tier soldiers, 1 million second tier soldiers, 1 million third tier soldiers, 500,000 fourth tier soldiers, and 300,000 fifth tier soldiers. The result of the war, big victory. Evaluation, SSS level. Reward, 7,000 source crystals, 700 source points. Due to 100 times the difficulty and 1,000 times the reward, recalculate. Evaluation, SSS plus. Reward, 3 million source crystals, 300,000 source points. Soldier token 10,000 miles shifting talisman, Hall of Heroes surrogate doll affiliated contract. 3 million source crystals, 300,000 source points. I don't know if the territory can be raised to the 7th level. Suzy looked at the reward and felt that it was much less than before. Is it because I didn't kill the Worm Emperor? As long as she dares to appear next time, she must be killed. Suzy swore secretly in his heart. Steel walls. The body of the Unit P cannon emits a faint fluorescence again, obviously it is going to advance again. Although the Zerg Queen was not killed this time. But it killed millions of Zerg of all ranks, which also made the advancement of P cannon a matter of course. Suzy and the Goblin watched all this silently. Suzy had a hunch that during this evolution and promotion to the 4th level, there won't be much difference in body shape. Soon, the light gradually fades away. As Suzy expected, it was still in the shape of a cannon. The caliber of the 800 cannons became larger again, and now they are 5 or 6 meters tall. The height of the cannon has also increased again, and it is 10 meters high by visual estimation. This height is not high among the 5th tier arms. But 510-meter high cannons placed on the city gate brought a sense of security that was far unmatched by other arms. Suzy opened the cannon panel again to check the unit attributes. Open black lens bracket name close black lens bracket, P cannon. Race plant, open black lens bracket level close black lens bracket, 48,0480ths. Physique 15,000, open black lens bracket agility close black lens bracket, 2,000. Spirit 15,000. Skills Annihilation Bomb, Cloud Explosion Bomb, Thermobaric Bomb, Neutron Bomb, Absolute Zero Gun. Open black lens bracket attack range close black lens bracket, 20,000 meters. Open black lens bracket rate of fire close black lens bracket, 10s. Durability every 10 minutes of shelling, turn off the fire for 1 minute. Loyalty 100% permanent. Introduction evolved from P-Gunner, 4 kinds of bombs bring you the enjoyment of flying. The attributes have almost doubled, and there is an extra absolute zero gun in the skill. The power should not be weak. The attack range doubled again, from 10,000 meters to 20,000 meters. The attack speed has also doubled again, reaching 10s. This attack speed is simply too cool. Fire the shells like bullets. Suzy was overwhelmed with surprises. After entering the middle level, every evolution would bring a multiplied increase to the arms. However, you need to rest for 1 minute every 10 minutes in the future. Suzy nodded, not surprised. After all, although plant arms have stronger endurance, they are not dead. Compared to the units of those guys in the mechanical system, my P-cannon uses the plant system to represent the powerful combat capabilities of the mechanical system. There is no need to worry about mechanical damage at all, and whether it is stamina or attack speed, compared to the same type of mechanical systems. My plants all have absolute advantages. Suzy nodded secretly, feeling more and more satisfied with P-cannon. He once focused on analyzing the combat power data of each class in the mechanical department. At the 5th level, it is completely impossible to reach 10s. If the shells were fired at this attack speed, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to last for a minute, and the entire unit would be scrapped. The little goblin looked up and looked at the 10-meter tall P-cannon, with a small cherry mouth long and round. Okay, so big. Compared to her height of 1.55, P-cannon is almost 10 times her height, no wonder she was so shocked. It will get bigger later. Suzy rubbed the goblin's red hair and said with a smile. A hint of joy suddenly appeared on the little fairy's delicate and pretty face, like a kitten whose head has been rubbed by its owner. After upgrading the arms, Suzy put all the source points into the territory upgrade according to the script. You consume 59,000 source crystals and 5,900 source points, and your territory has been upgraded to level 59. Close black lens bracket. Sure enough, it's still a little short of the 7th step. Suzy was not disappointed, as expected. Under the consumption of hundreds of times resources, in just 5 days, he was able to raise the territory to the top 6th level. This could almost be called a miracle. So Suzy is not in a hurry. Compared with others, he has gone very fast. 1 step at a time, steadily and steadily. In the end, he climbed to the top and became a god, traveling across the universe. According to your plan, he has a unique talent, destined to become the top group of people in the universe. C. Suzy is very patient and stable. Whether it's 10 years, 100 years, or 1,000 years. He must become a god. No one can stop it. Call. Letting out a breath, Suzy's expression became more determined. Then he took out the reward hero recruitment order. I hope this time there will be a hero with strong individual combat power. Suzy secretly prayed in his heart. Although the little fairy is very cute, she can only be used as an assistant in the back, or as a bed warmer. Now the 7-day trial is coming to an end. He is destined to participate in the Tianjiao contest. With such an advantage, how could he be willing to miss this great opportunity to harvest resources? A complete Zongchen world. The gods in the world were obliterated, leaving the natives of the original world below the god level to test the new lords. Not so much a trial. Rather, it is a chance for all the new lords to obtain huge resources and change their fate against the sky. Such opportunities are rare, even once in a lifetime. To enter the world of Zongchen again, there is only a slight possibility after becoming a god. Where is it like a trial? Everything in a huge world is left to be plundered. 100 times the consumption of resources, doomed Suzy to embark on the road of no return to plunder. But Suzy is so happy. So this Tianjiao trial, Suzy must participate in it, and at the same time, he must compete for the top list. Genius. For Suzy, it is nothing more than food for his growth. Shaking his head, Suzy no longer thinks about it. Now he has a lot of firepower, but he also has shortcomings. For example, powerful individual combat arms. After the trial, the combat mode will no longer be this kind of offensive and defensive warfare, but a battle outside the territory. This requires extremely strong individual combat capabilities. The P-cannon obviously does not meet this. Open black lens bracket hero recruitment order close black lens bracket. Quality. Legend. Function. Consume 100 source crystals to recruit a hero of the same type as the Lord. Introduction. Maybe the botanical department is also available. Recruit. Without hesitation, Suzy took out 100 source crystals and incorporated them into the hero recruitment order. Next moment, hero recruitment order, a burst of golden light burst out, and at the same time began to spin violently in the air. I do not know how long it has been. A beam of light flew out from the hero recruitment order. And the token also turned into light spots in the air and dissipated. The beam falls. It turned into a half-meter high figure. Suzy looked over. I saw a grass with 3 slender green leaves of 1 meter long, standing in clusters at the foot, swaying with the breeze from time to time. A plant of grass. Suzy was stunned when he saw the appearance of the hero. Some surprises. Heard that. Seemingly conscious, the grass trembled a bit, and stretched out a blade of grass to wrap around Suzy's calf. Pulled down. Seems dissatisfied with Suzy's surprise. Open black lens bracket sword grass close black lens bracket. Race. Plant. Quality. Legend. Rating. 1/0/10. Constitution. 30. Dexterity. 20. Spirit. 50. Skills. Instant slash, sword drawing. Loyalty. 100% permanent. Introduction. She is not an ordinary grass, but a grass with a dream and wants to be a swordsman. So please don't underestimate her. Hey, the attribute is so strong. Suzy's eyes lit up when he saw the attributes of sword grass. Constitution, agility, spirit. Almost dozens of times that of ordinary first-order lives. Especially the spirit, which is outstanding, with attributes as high as 50, almost comparable to ordinary second-order or even third-order creatures. The goblin was a little curious about the sword grass, so she pulled its other blade of grass and started playing with it. As a result, I accidentally cut my finger by a sharp blade of grass. Ah! The little goblin let out a cry of surprise, and quickly put her fingers into her mouth, sucking gently. Suzy was concerned. Are you all right? Fine. The little goblin shook her head like a rattle, and said, she took her finger out of her lips, pulled out a slimy white ribbon, and placed it in front of Suzy's eyes. Look. Suzy took a closer look, and found that the wound had indeed healed, without even a trace. Somewhat unexpectedly, he glanced at the little fairy. Is this healing power, or her saliva to heal damage? Suzy doubted. If you have a chance, you can try it and let the little fairy help you lick it. Shusha. Little sword grass seemed to know that she had hurt the little fairy, stretched out a leaf, pulled her calf, and bent down the leaf, as if apologizing. It's okay, I was not careful. The little goblin shook her head, knelt down, and gently comforted the little sword grass. Suzy looked at the blades of the little sword grass. On the edge of the blade, there seems to be a layer of sharp and gloomy light like a blade. It is indeed a sword grass, with branches and leaves like swords. I don't know what it will look like after alienation. Suzy squatted down and reached out to grab a blade. Open black lens bracket alienation close black lens bracket. Talent activated. The body of the small leaf grass shone with colorful light, and all the leaves shrunk. Then it turned into a rotating cocoon of light, continuously shooting bright rays of light in the air. The light keeps expanding. In the end, it even covered the entire territory. Crack. It sounded like the sound of void breaking, and it gradually expanded. Boom. An extremely sharp sword energy rushed from the light cocoon to the sky. A boundless gigantic shadow appeared in the sky. The giant shadow is 9 feet high, shaped like a sword grass, rooted in the void, and 9 leaves long. Between waving, the galaxy is rewinding, and the stars are swaying. The light fades. The small cocoon shattered, and a small grass with upright blades the size of a palm appeared in front of the two of them. Suzy was incomparably shocked. This kind of out-of-this-world vision is rare in the world. Just relying on the vision of heaven and earth just now. Suzy then realized that this little grass. Extraordinary. With anticipation, click on the Properties panel. Open black lens bracket 9 leaf sword grass close black lens bracket. Race. Plant. Quality. Supreme. Grade 1. Bloodline. 9 leaf sword grass. Talent. Practicing the sword becomes stronger. Constitution. 100. Agility. 300. Spirit. 500. Skills. Sword shadow, sword drawing, sword Jew. Loyalty. 100% permanent. Introduction. I am a grass that wants to be a swordsman, so please don't disturb me to practice swords, my lord. Supreme. When Suzy saw the quality, his pupils constricted. The quality of World Tree is supreme. The quality of this 9-leaf sword grass is also top-notch. Suzy was shocked in his heart. Although I don't know what level supreme is at the moment. But you can know just by looking at how perverted the World Tree is. Absolutely top-notch. And it was actually named after nine-leaf sword grass. Even if he traveled through time, he still remembered this name very clearly. The most mysterious ancient 10 evils, nine-leaf sword grass. Record. As a quasi-immortal king, he fought against 4 immortal kings. The combat power is in a mess. Look at the various attributes of nine-leaf sword grass. With the lowest level of level 1, each data breaks through 100. With 3 skills at the same time. There is even a talent practice the sword to become stronger. Suzy felt that this sword grass was going against the sky. Master, can Xiao Xiao be a swordsman? Suddenly, the goblin at the side asked Suzy. Huh, why do you ask that? Xiao Xiao said her dream is to be a swordsman. So let me ask the Lord, can Xiao Xiao be a swordsman? Several question marks popped up on Suzy's forehead. Can you hear her? Yes, I can communicate with any plant. Didn't I tell the master? The little goblin tilted her head in confusion. Suzy tapped on her little head. You tell me. You didn't tell me such an important thing. Ah, it hurts so much. The little goblin let out a cry, covered her head with her hands, and looked at Suzy pitifully. Suzy rubbed her head again. Facing the nine-leaf sword grass, he said righteously. Of course Xiao Xiao can be a swordsman. It is recorded in the ancient books of the human race. In ancient times, there was a nine-leaf sword grass. Quote, he is the top swordsman in the universe, terrifying all races in the universe. The sun, the moon and the stars can be chopped down with a wave of hands, which can be described as extremely tyrannical. Quote, as soon as the nine-leaf sword grass heard it, it immediately flew to Suzy's shoulder, the leaves trembling with excitement. Stick it on Suzy's cheek and rub it. Introduction. Really Lord, close black lens bracket. Suddenly, a sentence appeared in front of Suzy's eyes. Suzy. Introduction, it's understood by you. Suzy nodded. Of course. After finishing speaking, Suzy obviously felt that Xiaoju was a little too excited. Introduction. Thank you Lord, I will definitely practice my sword well, and in the future I will become a swordsman who can slash stars with one strike like my ancestors. Sir, I am going to practice sword. Close black lens bracket. Go. Go, treat this as your own home. Suzy waved his hand, looking at the back of Xiao Xiao leaving. With emotion in my heart. There are still such hardworking heroes in the world. It's not easy. This is a grass with dreams. There is a new member in the family. Suzy and Xiao Yao are very happy. After all, Suzy's territory is too big. After all, the two of them seemed a bit too open. Arrange Xiaoju. Suzy flipped his palm, and 3 special equipment appeared in Suzy's hand. One is a yellow banner with various mysterious runes engraved on it. The second one is a small black rabbit doll with a scar. The last one is an ancient parchment. 10,000 miles migration talisman. Open black lens bracket surrogate doll close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket affiliated contract close black lens bracket. Suzy looked at the yellow banner, and a message appeared. Comma. Open black lens bracket 10,000 miles shifting talisman close black lens bracket. Quality. Legend. Function. Immediately teleport to any place within a radius of 1 million miles. Number of uses. 3/3. Introduction. Maybe you will be teleported into the belly of a fish. Comma. The range of 1 million miles is indeed a life-saving thing. Suzy carefully read the function of the 10,000 miles shifting talisman to make sure that he read it correctly. Immediately overjoyed. Outside, it's not without danger. On the contrary, in the outside world, the Lord will encounter many crises. Because whether it is in the world of trials, or in the cosmic sea, the Lords belong to the invading party, and were called extraterritorial demons, and so on by their local forces. In another world, it must be disliked by the will of the world. So in the different world, the Lord always has bad luck. There are even unlucky ones, whose dominion descend directly into a ferocious beast's lair, or fall into danger. At this time, it depends on the Lord's life-saving means. And 10,000 miles shifting talisman is undoubtedly the best among them. Random. It is both random to yourself and random to enemies. In this way, the enemy can't predict where it will move, so naturally it can't stop it in advance. Do not doubt. In front of the top powerhouse. Hundreds of thousands of miles are just a short distance away. However, the legendary 10,000 miles shifting talisman actually has 3 chances to use it. It was a bit of a surprise. Susie put it in the inventory, focused on marking, and then looked at the next equipment. Open black lens bracket surrogate doll close black lens bracket. Quality. Legend. Type. Rule-based equipment. Function. Avoid immortal crisis. Number of uses. 3/3. Introduction. I can save you 3 times, but not the 4th time. Another life-saving item. Susie took the rabbit in his hand and shook the scarred rabbit in his hand. Put it directly on the left chest, and the scar rabbit stuck it directly. Now there are 2 life-saving equipment, and the survivability is greatly increased. Susie never dared to underestimate the natives of other worlds. Not to mention that he has not yet become a god. Even if he has become a god, he dare not act recklessly. Every year, Blue Star announces the number of newborn gods and dead gods. All in the millions. This is also why there are many lords who are willing to be planting lords in Blue Star for the rest of their lives. Exchange the initial units for magic crystals to maintain life. Cosmic Sea. It was never a playground. It is a paradise for the strong and a hell for the weak. Someone went out and picked up the artifact, the Godhead. Get rich overnight and ascend to the throne of God. Someone went out, shrouded in horse leather, died in a foreign land, and there were no bones left. So, items that can save lives are often sold at sky-high prices. Where can ordinary people have the opportunity to buy? That's why Susie got a little excited when he saw these 2 pieces of equipment. Finally, Susie took out the parchment. Open black lens bracket subsidiary contract close black lens bracket. Type. Rule department. Quality. Legend. Function. It can make the bound contractor become a lord's subordinate. Number of times. Unlimited. Introduction. After signing this contract, you are mine from now on. Subsidiary contract. Susie's eyes lit up. I was still having a headache about this thing. After all, this kind of thing is very rare. Wanting to find it is completely an act of chance. Subsidiary deed. As stated in the introduction. After binding, anyone who signs the contract on it will completely become the Lord's subordinate. All rights and interests belong to the Lord. This is the only way a Lord can get dependent lands and dependent races. General subsidiary contracts have a quota limit. However, because Susie's subsidiary contract is legendary, there is no upper limit contract directly. Such a treasure is hard to find in the world. Susie also bound it without hesitation. This kind of thing. The future plays a huge role. Turn around and put it away. Susie took out the only building that appeared this time. Open black lens bracket Hall of Valor close black lens bracket. Type. Rule department. Quality. Legend. Rating. 1/0/10. Resurrection restriction. Tier 1. Function. Resurrection of heroes, resurrection of troops. Introduction. No one knows which one will come first, accident or tomorrow, but with it, no longer worry about accidents. The Hall of Heroes can really be resurrected. Susie looked at the building in his hands, and a hint of shock flashed in his eyes. Hall of Valor. In Blue Star, it is called the Hall of Reincarnation, Hall of Life and Death. It is one of the buildings most wanted by countless lords. Without him, just because it can resurrect units and heroes. To know, every unit and hero is cultivated by the Lord with countless resources. Inside is the painstaking effort and emotion of the Lord. Every loss is enough to make the Lord feel heartache. And with buildings like Hall of Valor, after heroes and units die, they can be resurrected from the Hall of Valor at a certain cost. This is the top rule creation. So, everyone wants a building like the Hall of Valor. But there are too few such buildings, the probability of birth is terribly low, and the demand is too great. Even many middle gods don't necessarily have a resurrection-type building. And imagine how precious it is. Each one has a price but no market, and its value is immeasurable. But now, Susie has one in his hand. And it's still top-notch, legendary. There is no limit to the number of resurrections. If it is known by others, I am afraid that I will go crazy with jealousy. Go. Susie threw Hall of Valor forward. The small architectural model rose in the wind, and soon turned into a magnificent 10-meter-high palace. Just looking outside, I feel a kind of solemnity. Without hesitation, Susie spent a lot of source crystals to upgrade it to the 6th level. Look again, open black lens bracket Hall of Valor close black lens bracket. Rating, 59,0590ths. Resurrection restriction, Tier 6, In this way, as long as the level of heroes and units does not exceed level 6, they can be resurrected in the Hall of Valor. Susie breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. After all, the 2000 P units in the territory all followed him at the beginning. Moreover, the little fairies in the territory are so cute, and now there is a hard-working little Jew. Seeing that the territory is getting better and better, Susie doesn't want to lose them someday in the future. Because the territory was not advanced this time, Susie did not upgrade the building. It's over, you can start opening the treasure chest. There was a smile on Susie's face. This time he didn't plan to finish it all at once. Instead, the two of them drove slowly. Little fairy, come and open the treasure chest. Susie greeted the little goblin who was watching Xiao Ju practice his sword. Come on, master. The little goblin lying on the city wall heard this, her eyes lit up, and she ran to Susie's side bouncing around. Outside the territory of the kobolds not far away. Guananshan was covered in blood, holding a bloody Tier 3 saber in his hand. He stared intently at the hundreds of Zerg in the sky. Heart despair, can I just be eliminated? Guananshan was very unwilling, he had persisted for 5 days. But there are too many Zergs appearing today. Even though his territory is already Tier 3, there are more than 100 kobolds of Tier 3 in the territory. But still far from their opponents. Why is it so difficult for the 5th level? Guananshan hated him greatly. After fighting, now there are only a dozen or so kobolds under his command, and all of them have been scared out of their wits. Even the orders of his lord no longer listened. He's pretty much in jeopardy. But at this moment, squeak, a long howl came from the gray mist, and then those third-order Zerg in the sky flew back into the gray mist one after another. What happened? Guananshan was puzzled. At the same time, a voice sounded beside his ear. The war is over. Start settlement. Immediately, Guananshan fell into ecstasy. In the mist that Guananshan couldn't see, a 70 to 80 meter long Zerg Empress clearly watched Guananshan's ecstasy through a huge crystal. Cut, it's a boring thing, let's prepare for the plant department. Tier 4 Dragon Collar. Qinyi stared angrily at the Zerg in the sky who were constantly eating other sub-dragons, his eyes were full of unwillingness. Thousands of 4th order Zerg, even Yulong is far from being an opponent. Suddenly, all the Zerg suddenly dropped the Yulong and quickly flew into the mist. Qinyi was slightly taken aback, not knowing what happened. Tier 4 Elf Collar. Withstand. Stone walls. In Qin Wanqing's cold eyes, she couldn't help but feel anxious at this moment. Outside the city, Zerg a few meters in size attacked the last line of defense with ferocious faces. But as the elves fell one by one, there was almost no hope in sight. Qin Wanqing's eyes were full of unwillingness. The walls of the city have been crumbled, and she has only one way left. Back. Before they finished speaking, thousands of Zerg suddenly turned around and flew towards the gray mist, disappearing without a trace. Xiao Wanqing, what's going on? Battle settlement. Campaign evaluation. S rank. Award. This scene happened in dozens of territories in the entire foreign world. Everyone didn't understand why the Zerg retreated suddenly. But 2 days later, at the end of the 7th day, they know, there is one person who can resist tens of millions of Zerg army with his own power. Open black lens bracket natural collar close black lens bracket. In the evening, as the sun sets, the setting sun puts a touch of wine red on the white clouds. Watching pool. Master, come down and play together. The goblin was wearing a tight pink bikini with a swimming ring around her waist, swimming happily in the pool. A pair of small and exquisite jade feet, photographed from the air from time to time, aroused waves of waves. Like a cute little elf. Pure and cute to the extreme. Seeing Susie walk out of open black lens bracket fan Lu close black lens bracket. The little goblin stood up, swam to the edge of the pool, and waved her slender jade arms towards Susie. Hearing this, Susie stopped and looked at the little fairy. Suddenly, my mind faltered. Such a little fairy is really charming. There is a feeling of wanting to hold her in my arms and take care of her carefully. But at this time, Susie's heart is not the kind of male desire, but pure appreciation. It's like admiring a peerless painting. The goblin in the pool saw Susie stop and stare at her. The corners of the invisible mouth are slightly raised. Really, everything said in the book is correct. Men like to see girls showing off their bodies. Even the master is no exception. The little demon secretly rejoiced carefully. The book she spoke of. In fact, it is the cheat book, 18 Ways to Kill a Man, that was just opened from the treasure chest. 18 Styles of Cutting Men. Type, cheats. Quality, purple. Function, the method of beheading men in Class 18. Introduction. There is no man in the heart, but the natural God is used. After opening the treasure chest, she felt as if she had found a treasure. So taking advantage of Susie not paying attention, she hid it quietly, and when Susie went to finish the meal, she took the opportunity to learn it. Now the first style, bikini. The effect is beginning to show. You wash it slowly by yourself. I just finished eating and rested. Susie shook his head, worried that he would make a mistake while washing. There are only 2 days left until the end of the assessment. Susie has no idea about this for now. The goblin is a piece of meat in his bowl, and sooner or later it will be his. Oh, hearing this, the little goblin looked a little disappointed and felt a little puzzled. What happened? Didn't the book say that men are all LSPs? Next, the owner should rush over impatiently. Then give her a hug and hold her high. Why is the master so indifferent? The goblin was puzzled. After Susie left, the ring flashed in the little fairy's hand, and a booklet similar to a lace magazine appeared in her hand. If the first method doesn't work, then try the second method. The goblin will never give up easily, and quickly turned to the second page. Second form of cutting men, playing hard to get. Keep a certain distance from men, and let men worry about your gains and losses. The little goblin mumbled word by word, and suddenly came to her senses. Does this mean that I am not allowed to post with the master? Broken book. The little goblin threw the book far away angrily. If she doesn't stick with her master, she would rather die. So it is right to attack the master at night. Snapped. A book fell at Susie's feet. Susie, how could books drop from the sky? With a wave of Susie's hand, the book on the ground was in his left hand. 18 Ways to Cut a Man. Susie's face darkened immediately after reading the contents inside. What a piece of crap. Teaching bad children. With a slight force in the hand, the cheat book was directly turned into ashes. What if the little goblin can learn it? This kind of thing must not be seen by the little goblin. At the same time, natural color in the gray mist outside. Insect nests with a size of hundreds of meters and thousands of meters descended quietly, suspended in midair. Alice, let me tell you why you are so kind. It turns out that you were beaten and disabled. In the hive of Alice Zerg Queen, the first digital empresses gathered together. HMPH, if it were you guys, it wouldn't be much better, maybe not as good as me. Alice retorted, feeling her face flushed, and her slender antennae trembling. Originally wanted to cover up the facts, but was exposed by His Highness. TCH, it's not because of you, a human race almost wiped you out. You are too useless. Another Zerg Empress sarcastically mercilessly said. Hearing this, several other Zerg Empresses burst out laughing. Obviously he doesn't care about the human lord. It's not that they despise the human lord. There is no doubt about the strength of the human race who can kill Alice, the old enemy, with one blow. But, this time the lord of the human race will no longer face a 6th-level Empress Alice. Under the organization of His Highness. Among the Zerg who came to another world this time. Almost a full third of them are about to come here. That is to say, that human race needs to face hundreds of Zerg Empresses of the same level as Alice. This huge force, even a small world, is enough to push horizontally. Not to mention a small human lord. Even more deadly, from the order issued by His Highness. It seems that there is a faint intention to make a move. That is the real 7th Order top, about to enter the 8th Order existence. With that one shot, there must be nothing wrong. In human terms. It's Tien Hu game, it's a win. Alice sat in the main seat, silent and looked at each other coldly. I sneered at them in my heart. Laugh, laugh, my dear sisters. When you actually meet him, you will realize what despair is. 6th Order. No threat at all to that one, just a bunch of numbers. Although she doesn't know, why is His Highness suddenly interested in this human lord? But no, these 6 ranks. It's just cannon fodder to test the strength of the Lord, in order to consume the power of the Lord. Those who really want to make a move. It is His Highness. These stupid bugs, stupid. And that Highness obviously didn't tell them the truth. Time is like water. The 6th day came quietly. In the resplendent Lord's bedroom, Susie slowly woke up from sleep. I felt a little short of breath. Really? Susie opened his eyes instantly, and saw an unsightly scene. Susie pushed the little fairy away from her body. Then with a snap, he hit the little goblin's buttocks hard. If you don't fight for 3 days, go to the house to expose the tiles. How dare you play tricks on me? Susie felt that he needed to educate the goblin, otherwise he would be too reckless. If you are so good at playing now, you will still have it in the future. He, Susie, has never suffered from a woman before. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. He couldn't help it, on the other buttocks of the goblin. After taking another shot, he left the bedroom satisfied. Messy bed. The little fairy slowly opened her eyes. The innocence of last night disappeared, replaced by a charm full of charm. She was born from the fiery red flowers. In the blood and the body, there is the nobility of flowers. Even more passionate and charming. Master. The little fairy looked at Susie's leaving direction, her eyes became more and more seductive. The delicate little hands gently caressed the place slapped by Susie. A blush flashed across her pale cheeks. Suddenly, the little goblin's body emits a faint fiery red fluorescence. The little goblin's eyes were slightly bright, and she quickly sat up. The fiery red fluorescent protagonist spreads, wrapping the little goblin layer by layer. A flower blooms in the bedroom. If Susie comes in at this time, we'll find out. The shape of this flower is exactly the same as the flower that the goblin was born. The delicacy and charm of fiery red and the nobility of a strand of gold pattern complement each other in the petals. I do not know how long it has been. The petals turn into spots of light and dissipate. Only left in place, a little fairy showing a beautiful figure. But at this time the goblin can no longer be called a goblin. It should be the big goblin. It's the 2nd level. The body is like a goblin who has grown again, and there is a flash of excitement in his eyes. Looking up and down his body. The skin is fairer and smoother, the figure is more enchanting, the figure of the devil, the face of the angel, every inch of the body seems to have endless attractiveness. There was a smile on the corner of the little goblin's mouth, and she was all over the country. Now, she is no longer the silly little girl she was before. Now she is the real witch. Sure enough, only when you are with the master can you evolve the fastest. The little fairy's eyes flickered with thought. Accompany the master every night, under the influence of that supreme breath. Her strength and bloodline are constantly changing. After the negative distance contact last night, this is how it will work. Master, I'm here to find you. The little goblin murmured, and with a wave of her hand, a fiery red cheongsam was already on her body. Once in a while, the person has disappeared from the bed, leaving a faint red petals, falling from the air. Open black lens bracket fan Lu close black lens bracket. Susie was eating breakfast while drinking the remaining half of the 6th grade milk. After drinking, the mouth has a lingering fragrance and endless aftertaste. Susie smacked his mouth, always feeling that there was still a light fragrance in his mouth. Master. At this time, a figure suddenly sat in Susie's arms, with a pair of jade arms hooked behind Susie's neck. Cough cough. Susie was so frightened by this sudden accident that he almost spit out. However, the control power of the 6th order powerhouse is tyrannical after all. Cough twice. The little goblin smiled lightly at the corner of her mouth, dazzled. A pink handkerchief appeared in his hand, and he gently wiped the corners of Susie's mouth. Susie blushed from the little fairy's movements, and hurriedly grabbed her delicate wrist. Okay, it's been wiped clean. As Susie said, his eyes looked up and down at the charming woman sitting in his arms. The goblin deliberately puffed out her chest, waiting for Susie's appreciation. Little goblin. Susie was puzzled. Well, it's the slave's house. Why didn't you see me for a while? Why did you seem to be a different person? The servants don't know either. The goblin stared at Susie affectionately with her big red eyes. There seems to be an endless friendship. Susie looked into the little fairy's eyes, admiring the little fairy's beautiful face up close. Leprechauns are extra bold today. Finally I know why King Zhou laughed at Fengwo and other princes, only for Bomei people. Susie reached out and touched the face of the little goblin angel, and suddenly said with emotion, "Thank you for the compliment, master, but I will always belong to the master." The goblin said, pressing her cheek against Susie's chest. Hearing Susie's ever-increasing heartbeat, he smiled slightly. Susie's eyes widened, and when he lowered his head, he saw the enchanting face of the little goblin. Subconsciously, she wanted to lower her head and kiss those cherry lips. Boom. Sudden. There was a bang in the sky. The sixth wave of trials has arrived. Susie's movements froze for a moment, and a look of embarrassment flashed across his face. Unexpectedly, at this time, the little fairy pecked Susie's cheek lightly. "Does the master like it?" The goblin blinked and asked Susie. Susie was slightly taken aback. The next moment, he pulled the little fairy into his arms. A big strawberry was carved on her angelic face, and then disappeared. Like, Susie's voice before leaving echoed in the air. Giggle. The goblin sat on Susie's seat, propped her chin with her jade hand, and let out a giggle laugh. Steel-supported city wall. Susie was dressed in white, standing in the void, with his hands behind his back, his eyes indifferent to the front. The breeze came, blowing the white clothes and whistling. Looking from a distance, people can't help but sigh with emotion, what a handsome and good son in troubled times. Staring at the gray mist. Have to say, evolving into a second-order goblin gave Susie an unusual experience. As the saying goes, cute is worthless in front of sexy. Susie thought it was exaggerated before. After all, cuteness represents justice. But now I am absolutely sure that this sentence is correct. Cute is nothing compared to sexy. Sexy is bigger than the sky. However, the current little goblin really makes people angry. Susie smiled wryly in his heart. If we talk about the little fairy before, there is still a hint of greenness, like an unripe apple. Then the current goblin is like a ripe peach, with plenty of flesh and water. Not only is the body hot, but the personality seems to be more charming. Susie is not a saint, just a normal man. Love between men and women. It's just human nature. If it weren't for the thunder in the sky. I'm afraid he has executed the little goblin on the spot. Hold on for 2 more days. After the assessment period, there will be plenty of time. The days to come will be long, and the days to come will be long. Taking a deep breath and chanting a few words, the evil fire in my heart slowly subsided. At this moment, in the distant mist, there were bursts of noisy humming. Susie cheered up immediately. In the sky, an overwhelming dark cloud flew out of the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Today's attack is still Zerg. Susie looked over and found that there were no dark clouds there, but insects as small as fingers and the size of palms. These insects are of various colors, innumerable, and ugly in appearance. Even just looking at it makes me feel numb all over. It seems that unknown changes have taken place in this trial. Otherwise, there should be no Zerg here. Susie frowned slightly, glanced slightly, and used identification. Open black lens bracket blood-sucking worm close black lens bracket. Race. Zerg. Quality. Green. Level. 6. Constitution. 15. Agility. 17. Spirit. 12. Skills. Blood-sucking, berserk temporary. Introduction. A blood-sucking bug that can penetrate into the skin of creatures, be careful not to be touched by it. Open black lens bracket green beetle close black lens bracket. Race. Zerg. Quality. Green. Grade. 11. Constitution. 16. Agility. 21. Spirit. 17. Skills. Bite. Berserk temporary. Introduction. A bug that is good at using sharp teeth. Its sharp teeth are enough to bite a giant tree. Open black lens bracket heterogeneous corpse beetle close black lens bracket. Race. Zerg. Quality. Blue. Grade. 7. Constitution. 12. Agility. 14. Spirit. 15. Skills. Putrid, berserk temporary. Introduction. The worms from the cemetery have been specially modified to make the acid highly corrosive. As far as the eye can see, I don't know how many kinds of insects there are. But without exception, the levels of these bugs are quite low, almost all of them are first level or second level. It doesn't match the attack strength of the sixth wave at all. But Suzy is too lazy to think too much. Coming. That is the enemy. It's gone. Raising the arm, it is necessary to destroy the insect directly after it enters the attack range. Finally, Suzy's hand was about to drop after the countless Zerg army entered the attack range. On the fifth day, all the arms of Suzy have been turned into forts. That is to say, today, Suzy has 800 tier 5 cannons and 1,200 tier 4 cannons in his hands. 2,000 cannons, guard in all directions, in addition to 4 defensive buildings that have already been upgraded to the 6th level. Each one is an absolute battlefield killer. Once sacrificed, it is like a giant cannon. An existence capable of wanton slaughter. Plus the world asylum of the last world tree. Suzy's territory can be said to be impenetrable. Want to break, it's just as difficult as climbing the sky. But to deal with these little bugs, there is no need to use neutron bombs. Suzy nodded. Hitting bugs with neutron bombs is somewhat extravagant. Open black lens bracket destroyer bomb close black lens bracket, open black lens bracket cloud explosion bomb close black lens bracket, open black lens bracket thermobaric bomb close black lens bracket. 3 types of shells are enough to deal with these bugs. Just when Suzy was about to give an order, suddenly a piece of green grass flew in front of Suzy, wrapping his hand gently. At the same time, a message appeared in Suzy's eyes. Introduction. Sir, please leave them to me to deal with. I want to exercise myself. Close black lens bracket. Are you here to solve it? Suzy was taken aback when he heard this, but then he was a little worried. Although the Zerg level is low, but the number is large enough to scare the average lord. Xiaoju was only born for 1 day, is it really okay? But looking at Xiaoju's appearance, it seems that he really wants to go. Yes, but if you can't resist, you must come back quickly. Suzy commanded. Although there is Hall of Valor in the territory now, Suzy doesn't want to see Xiaoju die outside. Introduction. Okay, please rest assured, my lord, I swear in the name of the swordsman. Close black lens bracket. After finishing speaking, Xiaoju's only blade bent slightly towards Suzy, as if bowing to Suzy. Then, with a dodge, Xiaoju was already running towards the overwhelming Zerg in the distant sky. What? Suzy looked at Xiaoju's back, and suddenly found that Xiaoju seemed to have grown a little bigger. Use identify on it, comma, open black lens bracket 9-leaf sword grass close black lens bracket. Race, plant. Quality, supreme. Level, 10. Bloodline, 9-leaf sword grass. Talent, practicing the sword becomes stronger. Constitution, 400. Agility, 600. Spirit, 800. Skills, sword shadow, sword drawing, sword ju, cross cut. Loyalty, 100% permanent. Introduction, a small grass with the goal of cutting the stars with a sword. In just 1 night, I have cultivated to level 10, reaching the peak of the first level, and the various statistics have increased by hundreds. Also, it seems that there is an extra skill, cross slash. Suzy looked a little surprised when he saw Xiaoju's level. But thinking of Xiaoju's supreme quality comparable to World Tree, these seemed to be less exaggerated. Suddenly, Suzy knew that Xiaoju was not really taking risks, but had a background. Maybe, can Xiaoju really kill those hundreds of thousands of insects? Suzy thought of this possibility. Some expectations. And in the depths of the gray mist, hundreds of descended Zerg empresses are also gathering together. Huge eyes, staring at the territory in the crystal. They want to test the strength of the human lord. He even wanted to find out the weakness of the human lord. What is that? A Zerg empress saw something flying out of the territory. The crystal instantly magnifies the picture. A piece of grass. After seeing it clearly, the hundreds of Zerg empresses present were all surprised. Does the lord intend to rely on a blade of grass against the first wave of hundreds of thousands of Zerg army? As soon as this idea came into being, it was rejected by them. How is this possible? All the Zerg empresses couldn't help shaking their heads. They felt that the human lord was joking with them. Even Alice, who had dealt with Suzy before, had a trace of doubt in her eyes. Could it be that yesterday he killed my Zerg too quickly, thinking that the Zerg was not strong enough? So let your guard down today. Alice was suspicious, but said nothing. Avoid being slapped in the face by the plant lord. After all, the lesson from yesterday is still vivid in my memory. A stalk of grass faces hundreds of thousands of troops of the same rank. Who can win? The answer seems to have no suspense. Hundreds of Zerg empresses stared at the picture in the crystal. They want to see the pearl grass, torn to shreds by the terrifying Zerg. I don't know if the human lord will feel distressed and regretful. I guess in less than a second, the grass will be torn to shreds. A Zerg empress jokingly said. As he spoke, he sent a signal to the hundreds of thousands of Zerg to tear up the grass. Moment. Countless Zerg rushed towards Xiaoju at an accelerated speed. But Xiaoju did not retreat but advanced, and his speed doubled. Such a scene made Suzy, who was watching, nod secretly. Xiaoju has the potential to become a top swordsman. The human race has a history of hundreds of millions of years, and naturally there are not a few swordsmen. Every swordsman has an extremely pure idea and has the courage to sacrifice everything for the sword. And Xiaoju's idea of wanting to become a swordsman is very pure. Practicing swords almost all the time. Suzy saw it last night. Under the moonlight, a stalk of grass kept waving its body, and it was hard to forget that scene once seen. Get up in the morning. Suzy can still see Xiaoju standing under the world tree meticulously, waving the sword. Is that grass stupid? When a Zerg empress saw the grass in the picture, instead of retreating, she moved forward instead, which was a little surprised. If I didn't see that it is still a first-order strength, I almost believed that she could do it. A Zerg empress smiled and said, the strength of the first level is enough to exhaust her to death. Then let's see. At this moment, Xiaoju and the Zerg army officially came into contact. For a moment, Xiaoju was submerged in the ocean by the boundless turbulent Zerg. Xiaoju will be okay. The little fairy stood beside Suzy at some point. Seeing Xiaoju being swallowed by the swarm, a trace of worry flashed in his eyes. Although Xiaoju was only born a day ago, she likes this resolute little grass very much. It's okay, don't worry. Suzy patted her fragrant shoulder and comforted her. With the Hall of Valor, at least Xiaoju will not die. Time passed bit by bit. More and more Zerg rushed forward, almost piled up into a mountain. Hard to imagine. How does a blade of grass survive in it? Oh, it's just a grass. I also want to fight against hundreds of thousands of troops. How is it possible? A Zerg empress shook her head with a hint of ridicule in her words. Sudden. As soon as she finished speaking, a sword light suddenly cut out from the Zerg siege. Together, 2-way, 3 ways, ... Countless sword lights cut through the space, as if breaking through the blockade, cutting out from the siege of the Zerg. All Zerg races affected by the sword light instantly turned into fly ash. At the same time, a green figure rose from the insect swarm to a higher sky. It's Xiaoju. The goblin was pleasantly surprised. Okay, Suzy naturally also saw that figure. And Xiaoju seems to have evolved. Comma. Open black lens bracket 9-leaf sword grass close black lens bracket. Race. Plant. Quality. Supreme. Level. 15. Bloodline. 9-leaf sword grass. Talent. Practicing the sword becomes stronger. Constitution. 1400. Agility. 1600. Spirit. 1800. Skills. Sword shadow. Sword drawing. Sword ju. Cross cut. Continuous cut. Loyalty. 100% permanent. Introduction. Kill. 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 Level 2. Chi has already reached level 15. All attributes have increased by 1,000. Suzy was a little surprised. In less than an hour, Xiaoju broke through from level 10 to level 2. Suzy is proud of Xiaoju. Now look at Xiaoju's appearance again. Instead of a leaf, another leaf grows. 2 blades sharper than a sword, waving continuously above the 9 heavens. Every time you swing it, you will shoot a sword light several meters long. Cut to the sword light frantically rushing towards her. How is this possible? In the Zerg base, the queen mothers of the Zerg were shocked by the scene in the crystal one by one. Unexpectedly, that little grass actually rushed out of the encirclement of the Zerg. And it seems to have evolved to the 2nd level. The strength has almost doubled. I don't believe she can last forever. The Mother Queen of Zerg said coldly, looking at the grass in the crystal with cold eyes. Obviously she was slapped in the face just now. Go, don't worry about the territory of the human race, go and tear up this grass. Immediately, the Zerg Empress gave an order. For a moment, more Zerg swarmed up. Xiaoju was submerged in the sea of insects again. But everyone can see those continuous sword lights. It can always cut through the sea of insects and crush a batch of insects. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.